Yo, what's up guys, the Insane Game Freak here. I want to go ahead and talk about this Bayonetta 2 frame rate thing because I'm pretty sure by the time I upload this video it will become a thing. Today is Sunday, September the 14th. As of right now, Digital Foundry just posted their it's not really a review, but kind of a review for Bayonetta 2. And they kind of did the frame rate testing, and pretty much the frame rate testing comes out exactly as a lot of Platinum games come out from what I understand from the review. Or the little test, is that it aims for 60 and it can hit 60, but it never really stays at 60. It kind of drops from like 60 to 30. Like, I don't think, from what I understand, Digital Foundry said it never dropped anywhere below 30, but it pretty much fluctuated between 30 and 60. If you look at the footage they show for like the little test they ran, it mainly just hangs around the 40, 50 range. I saw it dip to like 38 at one point, but for the most part it just chills around the 40-50 range. And we already know how this is gonna go. A lot of big Nintendo guys on the site, pretty much when it was, and I say it was revealed, but it was kind of mentioned that Bayonetta 2 runs at 60 frames per second. I knew it didn't run at 1080p, but because I heard someone say it ran at 720, which made more sense. 720, whatever. But the 60 frames, people were touting to death. A lot of big Nintendo guys are touting to death. And we already know what's going to happen when this information has become, like, well known. People are going to you already know who the fuck is going to have a field day with this. And it's going to just turn into this whole debacle. Now, I wasn't the guy that really touted the 60. I never tout the frames per second thing. Because for all intents and purposes, a lot of the games I play are not locked into a certain frame rate. People keep using that as a I mean, for God's sakes, Mario Kart 8 technically isn't locked at 60. It's locked at 59, which, I mean, that's still good. And that even shows that locking a game at 60 frames per second isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world, which is why I don't necessarily give games shit for not being locked at 60. No one gives a fuck. If the game is still fun and it's playable, I don't have a problem. They even showed a frame rate test for Wonderful 101 just to compare. They are getting better at locking the game at 60 because Wonderful 101 once again was touted at 60 and never really stayed there. Actually, it stayed there even less frequently in Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2 doesn't stay there that consistently to begin with. Bayonetta, Wonderful 101 drops, usually hangs around the 40 range. 40s, sometimes it hits the 50s and 60s, but mainly it's in the 40s, 30s range. And they even mentioned in their article how Wonderful 101, if you looked at Wonderful 101 as like their first shot at the Wii U, Bayonetta 2 is an improvement in terms of, you know, locking the frame rate, but it still fluctuates. And from what I hear, Metal Gear Rising suffers the same fucking problem. Metal Gear Rising couldn't hold its frame rate either. Platinum Games, and the way Platinum Games makes their games, it made sense. It's like, I can't see this sticking well because the way their games are played out, it'd be amazing if they could actually get the damn thing to hit at 60 frames and keep it at 60 frames the entire time. As I said, I wasn't one of those dudes that really was touting the 60 frames, nor do I give a shit. I've owned Wonderful 101 since at least its first week in America. Like when it came out, what was it, September 17th, I think? When it came out, I bought Wonderful 101. Like, that was one of my main reasons for getting a Wii U, period. Because the game looked cool, I liked the gameplay style. I didn't give a fuck about the frame rate, even though it was obvious that Wonderful 101 wasn't pushing any limits, at least not in terms of its base graphics. Maybe because of the amount of characters you were controlling, but in terms of its base graphics, no one looked at Wonderful 101 and went, man, that's going to be a graphic-intensive game. It looks like a comic. It really carries the spirit of Beautiful Joe, because Beautiful Joe is the same damn way. Beautiful Joe has the same kind of style. You know, it doesn't look real. It looks like comic booky and shit. Bayonetta 2, from what I understand, has an upgrade in everything, but still runs. It does still do the thing I don't care for. The way it presents its cutscenes, from what I understand, it presents its cutscenes. If you play Bayonetta 1 on the PS3 or 360, even though people say the PS3 version is horrendous, I don't think the PS3 version is that bad. But then again, I didn't know it was horrendous when I got it, which then explains a lot of the bullshit I dealt with, why I was more annoyed with Bayonetta 1 than a lot of other people, because I played the worst version of it. For all intents and purposes, I heard that everything's been kind of updated. The animations look better. But the thing they still do that annoys me, I never cared for the fucking cutscene, like the film cutscenes versus the animated ones, because the film cutscenes always came off lazy. You know the ones I'm talking about. When she stood in a freeze frame pose and you still see the text on the screen, and like her hair and her like clothes would still be moving, but it looked all awkward because it looks like a model standing there with wind effects behind it and shit. That always annoyed. I just thought that look. I still think that looks bad. I didn't like that in Bayonetta 1 because it looked lazy. It was like, it's like, hello, Cheshire, and her face just not moving. Like, it's literally her model just standing. But you'll see her hair shaking in the background and her fucking clothes and her thing. And I'm just like, that doesn't look good at all. From what I understand, there are more animated versus those scenes. So I'm happy about that because I was so annoyed with seeing those scenes in that game, right? Me personally, I have just because the game doesn't hit 60 doesn't bother me. I mean, technically, if we want to make an argument here, people still bought Destiny, and Destiny only runs at 30 frames. I'm not the type of dude who would diss a game just because the frame rate isn't locked. I played Wonderful 101, and Wonderful 101 isn't locked. As I said, Mario Kart 8 isn't at 60 frames. I think Donkey Kong is, though. Donkey Kong, I don't know about Pikmin. I would assume Pikmin is locked because I have not heard anything about Pikmin not being locked. Star Lost World is 60 frames per second. It's not like we don't have 60 frames per second games, but for all intents and purposes, Bayonetta 2 would be one of those games I would expect to dip, and Platinum has never really been known for having games that stick to 60 frames. They do say that the 360 game, Xbox 360 version of Bayonetta 1 probably fares better, which would make sense because that's a game they've been. Well, then again, Bayonetta came out what, 2007? Came out like 2 years into the 360's lifespan, so I guess that would technically make more sense. I feel like if the game was still running at a lower resolution and running, if it was pretty much Bayonetta 2 only in name and like the graphics and shit, like if it was still running on like Bayonetta 1 base shit, I felt like it probably would have ran the same way. But at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck. But I'm making this video because I know there's going to be a lot of people who give a fuck and try to defend it. Do not defend if the game doesn't run at 60, the game doesn't run at 60, guys. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Half the games, if you were touting the praises of Destiny, but you shit on Bayonetta 2's frame rate and graphics, you need to shut the fuck up because you play a game that literally runs slower than Bayonetta. That's it. And I mean that, because look, it does, to me it never mattered. You know, I may have said it once or twice, but I think a lot of you would know, I don't tout frame rate that often, if any at all, because I don't give a shit. A lot of the games I play, I know are either around 30 or less sometimes. So I know I don't give a fuck about frame rate to the extent that everyone else does. I understand it has an effect on gameplay, but for me personally, it never really ruined my gameplay experience. Wonderful 101 has a frame rate that drops even lower than Bayonetta 2's, and I didn't have any problems with Wonderful 101's frame rate for all intents and purposes. The shit never looked bad and looked like it was fucking with my eyes or anything. Like Digital Foundry said some shit about, what was it, Mario Kart 8, about how there's like this really noticeable strobing effect that happens when you're playing Mario Kart 8. No one gives a shit. No, I have been playing the fuck out of Mario Kart 8, and I do not legitimately. First off, I don't see it, and two, I don't give a shit because it doesn't ruin my experience. All Mario Kart games before it played at like 30 frames or some shit. I don't think any Mario Kart game played at 60. Maybe the 3DS version. I'm not sure. The point is, the shit never mattered to me, so I'm not gonna write off a game just because. I played the PlayStation 3 version of Bayonetta 1. Bayonetta 1 on the PS3 is technically inferior, and I still like the game enough to want to play the sequel to it, so fuck. I don't care. But Nintendo guys, do not go into this. They're gonna have a field day with it. No matter what you say, they're gonna have a field day with the fact that the game doesn't run at 60 because every Nintendo, like Dr. Trey, and I think the Super Brothers and the Black Baron, and I enjoyed those guys' videos, but they all touted about how the game ran at 60. And a lot of Nintendo fanboys got hyped off of watching those videos and start touting the same shit. So this is what happens when you tout some shit and it's not technically... I guess technically it was kind of confirmed. The 60 frames was confirmed. I knew the game didn't run at 1080p. Niggas just kept saying the game ran at 1080p. Just prepare for the shit to hit the fan and I wouldn't worry about it. I didn't worry about when fucking Wonderful 101. I didn't worry about it. With Mario Kart 8, I don't care. Usually, to me, if a game runs at like 30 frames or higher, I think that's fine. I mean, Bayonetta 2 kind of demands more, and yeah, it would have been nice if the game ran at 60, but we can't change that the game doesn't run at 60 frames, okay? They're going to use this against the Wii U in terms of its power and whatever. But think about it this way, Mario Kart 8 runs at 59 frames per second, and that game sold over 2 million goddamn copies. I don't think this is going to destroy the reputation of Bayonetta. It will hurt it in terms of the 60 frames per second argument, but if the game is fun, who gives a shit? So so I'm just saying, in terms of Nintendo fans, do not go out of your way to try to defend this shit. Do not go into this whole damage control shit. It does not matter. What niggas say on YouTube in terms of a game does not matter, because no matter what they say, what the game is doesn't change. And even if the game, and it's proven that the game doesn't stick at 60, but it's also proven that the game is fun as fuck. I think the fun outweighs it not hitting 60 consistently, alright? That's just me. Because Wonderful 101 is the same goddamn thing. Wonderful 101 is trashed as a game. Well, it's trashed by reviewers mainly. Like, a lot of users like the game, but fucking the reviewers hated the game, alright? That game hits worse frame rates than Bayonetta. It is considered just a shitty game by most reviewers. And I fucking love Wonderful 101. So for all intents and purposes, I have little fuck to give about whether the game hit 60. It would have been nice. I'm not gonna say, if it was stuck at 60, it would have helped prove the Wii U's argument more, and I think it would have worked better. But the fact that they improved from Wonderful 101 to Bayonetta 2 shows me that even Platinum Games hasn't, like, really figured out the Wii U architecture completely. And I feel like if they made more games for the console, they'll get better and better at it. I mean, for God's sakes, fucking Metal Gear Rising doesn't even hit 60 frames, doesn't consistently hold 60 frames on a console that for all intents and purposes has been out for... Well, Metal Gear Rising came out like a few years ago, so it's been at least over 6 years probably since that game's been out, and since they've had time with it, because they made Bayonetta 1 in 2007, which was 2 years after the fucking thing launched. And Metal Gear Rising came out, what, 2013, 2012? So I feel like the more they get used to it, the better they'll get to adapting and, you know, sticking the frame rate. And they said they enjoy working with Nintendo, so Beautiful Joe and Okami revival, that would be nice, guys. Just saying. But I just wanted to bring that up. Nintendo fans, don't worry about it. We can't really do anything about it. They're gonna have the field day with it. Let them have the field day with it. Just look forward to the game like you were before, because I don't think a frame rate killed you. It's like if you realize that a lot of the games you play don't stick at fucking... If you realize that Destiny runs at a lower frame rate than Bayonetta 2, I don't think you would really care that it doesn't stick to 60, because it doesn't drop below 30, so... But I just wanted to let that out, because I know people are going to have a field day with it. But you know the wars are going to start, so I just say ignore it. Wait for the game to come out. Wait to hear the reviews, because from what I understand, Bayonetta 2 comes out in Japan next week, actually. Like a week, not even a week from the day. Like I think 5 days from now, because it comes out next Saturday, but because of the whole time difference, the shit in the reviews for this thing will probably be up in the next week or two anyway. Actually, it might be up sooner, considering a lot of people already have it. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, because fucking, I think Bayonetta 2 comes out earlier in Europe than it does here. I haven't checked, but you know. So I just say, don't worry about it. We can't really do anything to change it. Just get hyped and enjoy the game, because the game isn't going to look any worse because of it. Anyways, this has been Insane Game Freak. Let's game, play to win, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace!